Hi everybody, Super Kev here with Who Are You? And I'm going to be speaking to one of the Everton faithful. This is Vaughanie, known to his mates. How are you, Vaughanie? You well?
I'm very well, mate. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Nice one. Listen, how's the family? Everybody okay?
Yeah, great, mate. Yeah, all well. Yeah, all doing well.
Fantastic. Look, I don't want to hold up too much because we've got plenty to discuss, Vaughanie. So I've got 10 questions for you. So let's see where we go. So,
okay.
Vaughanie, do you remember your first game you went to at Goodison? And who was it against?
I don't remember the first game, but there's a story behind that.
Yeah.
And this family folklore says the first game I ever went to, Goodison Park, I was 18 months old.
Really?
My granddad was babysitting, and he didn't want to miss the match. So he just said, right, off we go. And at 18 months old, I attended my first game at Goodison Park. I don't know who the opponents were, can't remember. But the story from there, going on from there, was from that day forward, I only ever missed 2 home games until I was 16 years of age. 2 home games until I was 16 years of age, because I started playing myself on a Saturday when I was 16.
Right. Wow.
And I remember the 2 games I missed, mate.
Who were they?
One of them was the 6-0, Everton 6, Coventry 0 in 1977, I think it was. Bob Latchford got a hat-trick. Dave Thomas was on fire. And the other one was Dukla Prague in the UEFA Cup.
UEFA Cup, right.
And we beat them. Yeah, we beat them 2-1. Unfortunately, we lost on away goals. Got beat 1-0 away. But no, those are the 2 games I missed. The first one I was too ill to go to. And the second one, the Dukla Prague one, I was playing at the same time for my local county team. So we had the game that night. So I couldn't go to the game.
So you had to play, obviously, no problem. And back then,
no problem. But sorry, just to say that my first vivid memories of the game though were I remember going to a derby match in 1971. David Johnson scored. We beat them 1-0.
Yeah.
And I remember the famous Borussia Mönchengladbach penalty shootout game.
Yeah.
Was in the park end for that with my granddad, obviously. Yeah, and
that's when the park end was a lot different than it is now.
It was, mate. Yeah, we've always sat in the park end. I sit in the park end now. I've always sat in the park end.
Yeah.
And I also remember, obviously, every Evertonian I think remembers it of that era, the infamous Clive Thomas game. That's one of the most horrible memories I have.
Yeah.
But we all know what happened there.
Yeah, we do. Who was your favourite player back then, Vaughanie?
Back then, when I was very young, when I first started going, it was I had 2: Howard Kendall, Alan Ball. But obviously, I don't remember a lot. I can remember, obviously, through watching videos that they bring back memories of certain games, but I don't really have great memories of my own of watching them week in, week out. I remember Alan Ball being outstanding one time when we beat Southampton 8-0.
Right.
And David Johnson got a hat-trick, Joe Royle got 4. Ball only got 1, but he was absolutely brilliant that day. But yeah, firstly, when I was a young kid, Howard Kendall and Alan Ball. But my first proper idol when I was a teenager was Andy King.
Andy King, Kingy. You know, he's no longer with us, but what a guy he was. Absolute diamond.
Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, but top man. I had the privilege of meeting him a couple of times, well, more than a couple of times. But back when I was 14, he was everything I wanted to be as a fighter. I played as a striker. Obviously, Andy was a midfield player, but he was just fantastic in my eyes. And I honestly think he should have been capped for England, because in the 78-79 season, he was outstanding. But he just never got the recognition he deserved.
Yeah,
and then moving on. Yeah, it does, mate. Unfortunately, not everyone can get picked for England, can they?
No, very true. Very true.
And it's all about opinions.
That is definitely, it is all about opinions. But Vaughanie, I want to go somewhere where obviously it's going to be close to your heart. What are your family ties to both clubs on Merseyside?
Well, again, another story. Reasons why I'm an Evertonian, mate. No family ties as such in terms of connections to the clubs, but my mum's family.
Yeah, that's what I mean. In your immediate family.
Yeah, well, they've always been Evertonians,
right,
from way back, always.
Yeah,
and they're all still Evertonians now. Match-going Evertonians, the ones who still live in this country.
Yeah,
and we all, but me becoming an Evertonian is down to one man, as I mentioned before, my granddad.
Yeah,
he came over here in the 30s from Jamaica.
Yeah,
and he was a bit of a sportsman, bit of a player in his time, so he used to tell us. And he went to both grounds. He'd heard of Dixie, obviously knew of Dixie Dean.
Yeah,
because Dixie Dean was known globally even back in those days.
Right.
But he came over and he went to both grounds, and such were the social attitudes of the day. Unfortunately, some of it's still very prevalent now.
Yeah,
he was welcomed more at one ground than he was at the other.
Yeah,
and we're Evertonians.
Yeah,
and we, he went the match from then on, and then as soon as we were old enough.
Well, you were old enough for 18 months. You're there.
18 months, mate. Yeah, and he didn't just take me when my siblings got old. They weren't 18 months, but when they got to be like 4 and 5,
yeah,
he used to take them. He used to take us all. He didn't just used to take me. He used to take us all.
Fantastic.
Myself and my brothers.
What a fantastic story. Man. Great man, fantastic story.
Oh, superb, mate, yeah. Absolutely.
Is there so there's no Reds in your family?
No. There's some pretend to be Reds when it suits them. But no Reds. We're all Blues, mate.
All Blues. Fantastic.
Wouldn't have it then. I've even, my son, who's recently got married, is my daughter-in-law's family, they're Reds, but I've had a cheeky word with my brother, my son, and I've told him, both boys, doesn't matter what, if I'm not here, you promise me your boys brought up Evertonians.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I ask of you. They'd be brought up Evertonians.
Nice one. Keep the legacy.
I keep getting told, or I have been told in the past, let them choose. Well, no. As far as I'm concerned, they can make many choices, many of their own in their lives, but there's one choice they haven't got. There's one choice they haven't got any option on, and they're Blues, mate. That's it.
I love that. So, what's been your favourite times as a Blue, Vaughanie?
Oh, without doubt, mate. It's got to be the mid-80s, hasn't it? Got to be, for a number of reasons. I was 21 at that time. Yeah. So I was a young lad, money in my pocket. Everton were on top of the world. We could follow them everywhere. Yeah. Didn't get any better than that. And I just want my boys now to be able to experience. I'd love them to be able to experience that feeling of Everton actually winning something. Winning and being at the top, having a top team. Yeah, absolutely. And at the moment, I mean, they still keep the faith. They keep going. Myself and my youngest lad, my eldest boy can't go so much now because of his work commitments. Yeah. But me and my youngest, we go everywhere. Season ticket holders, obviously, away games when we can get the tickets for the away games. Yeah, of course. And my youngest boy, Lou, he absolutely loves it, mate. He actually, he was a decent player in his time, and when he was younger, but he's actually stopped playing because he prefers to go to the match. That's how big his love for Everton is. Yeah. That's fair enough. And do you still get the same? Do you still get the same buzz, Vaughanie? I get the same buzz of going to the game and being with me and seeing people. You know, all the people you see every week. But what I don't get, Kev, is I don't get as upset now when we lose,
Right.
as some people do, because it's been a recurring pattern, dare I say, for so long now. It used to ruin my Saturday night. Everton lost, used to ruin my Saturday night.
Yeah.
Maybe into the weekend.
Yeah.
You get a, you get a mood on and whatever. That doesn't happen now. It happens with me boy, but it doesn't happen to me anymore because I'm just used to it now. And
yeah,
I just think, I got I was once told a phrase by somebody: the only thing you can ever do is rely on Everton. The only thing you can ever rely on Everton to do is let you down. So once you're okay with that, you're fine. Do you know what I mean? But I just hope and pray just for the younger generation now, even if we just win a trophy just once, just to get that. Yeah.
Here's the thing as well, Vaughanie. I just want to stay on that as well, because once I mean, that side was a great side. I was privileged enough. My first game for Arsenal was against that great team's last game at Goodison. You probably were there. Last game of the season, 1988.
Probably was, mate.
Everton versus Arsenal. And then after that, Gary Stephen went up to Rangers, and that team kind of got broken up. If I had said to you around that time that Everton would only win an FA Cup after those times, what would you have said to me?
I would have said, you're kidding me. I would never have believed it. But what I did start to worry about, Kev, was, with no disrespect to anybody, obviously these fellas, I'm going to, they are professional footballers. They played at the highest level. However, the quality of players we brought in to replace the likes of Trevor and Gary were nowhere near on their level. And that's when I think the problems at Everton started. I think our problems started way before the mid-90s.
Yeah.
I think they started the back end of the 80s, when we failed to replace the players we'd lost.
Quality that you got rid of.
I remember one particular, which will resonate with yourself. I remember when David Rocastle was leaving Arsenal. Yeah. Evertonians were screaming at the board, by David Rocastle. We needed a play. Sheeds was struggling. Yeah. We said, we were screaming, by David Rocastle, by David Rocastle. And because they deemed the fee was too much, which, well, I will never know whether it's too much or not, but we thought the fee being asked as fans was reasonable for the quality of player. Yeah. And instead of going after David Rocastle, we signed somebody of way less quality. I can remember the name of the player, but I'm not going to name him.
No need.
You know what I mean? And then it was then that Everton started to fall behind. Yeah, because I think David Rocastle went to Leeds.
He went to Leeds. Yeah. Did you play him? I remember that day like it was yesterday.
Yeah. And
painful day.
Yeah, that's when I remember me beginning to think we're on the decline here and we're not doing anything about it. Yeah. And then obviously other factors then came in and we find ourselves where we are right now. Which is a great shame.
Vaughanie, it's very difficult as a fan, isn't it? To, when you see the decline and you can't do nothing about it. It's very difficult.
Yeah, it is very difficult, mate. But all you can do from a supporter's point of view, I think, is you have to, whether you agree or disagree with the decisions that are made, particularly like on playing staff and players and managers, as a supporter, you have to back whoever is in the specific job, whether it be manager, player. You might personally, I've seen us sign players who I don't think should start the college, but once they put a blue shirt on, that's it, done, support them. And I see sometimes it does upset me a little bit where players are not being given a chance. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, they will obviously come and people have a preconceived idea of that player, particularly if you don't particularly fancy him as a player. But for me, it's what he does in an Everton shirt, not what he's done in playing for anybody else. What he does in an Everton shirt that counts.
Yeah.
And it goes with the manager now, right? I don't care what his past is.
Yeah.
I really don't. And a lot of people might disagree with me or you know, hear this interview and give me a load of stick, but I really don't care. It's what he does for Everton Football Club. That's all I'm interested in.
Well, listen, we're gonna deal with Mr. Benitez a bit further on down in this.
Yeah.
What I wanted to ask you, Vaughanie, was what's your perspective and thoughts on the new stadium at Bramley Moor Dock?
Well, being honest with you, mate, first and foremost, it's going to be an absolute absolutely heartbreaking to leave Goodison.
Yeah.
You know, I've been going there for, well, I'm 57 now, so for, you know, 50 odd years, 55 years.
Yeah.
We've always sat in the park end whenever I've gone. So that particular part of the ground holds a lot of
memories and,
you know, memories, you know, cherished memories for me. And it's going to be hard to leave, but we've got to be honest, and we've got to look now to want to compete at the higher end of the table.
Yeah. And
the only reason we're going to be allowed to do that, and the only way we're going to be allowed to do that, is we've got to move to a stadium, a state-of-the-art stadium, which hopefully that's what is being delivered, with a bigger capacity to give us bigger income streams and revenue streams. And that's for the club perspective. I still personally think I'm a little bit disappointed that the capacity wasn't a little bit higher.
Right.
Maybe, but I understand the reasoning maybe behind it. I think if Everton were to win a trophy between now and Bramley Moor opening, they'd fill it twice over, if not more. But if we're still in a similar position, we'll do the 52,000, no problem.
Yeah.
But you know, it swings and roundabouts, isn't it? And from what I'm led to believe, or what we're led to believe, there's capacity for the capacity to enlarge or get bigger.
Right, to scale it up. Yeah, to scale it. Yeah. I mean, I look at Everton and the move myself, and I just think, obviously Carlo was there, and the project was to make sure when he took the team to the new stadium, he'll have a team that can compete.
Yeah.
So there's time.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's gone now, and Rafa's in place, and it's just there's a few more questions, I think. Do you, Vaughanie? There's a few more questions.
There's always going to be questions, but I think the questions are based on the manager's history, not on the manager's, you know, his ability to do the job. I think, given time, he can do exactly what they wanted Ancelotti to do: is build a side able to go to and do justice to that stadium. Yeah. But as we all know, it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. True. Do you know what I mean? And that's where the patience side of things got to come in. But another thing I will say on the stadium, Kev, is that I think it's a fantastic move, not just for Everton Football Club, but it's also a fantastic move for the city of Liverpool, because it's going to create, you know, it's going to generate income for the city, and it's going to create thousands of jobs for people who may be out of work at the minute. And it's just going to make the whole thing and the whole city a happier and better place. And I think that's just as important as anything else. As anything else, 100%. The economy. Yeah, you know, and it's locals getting jobs and work and being able to provide for their families, and that's fantastic for me. Yeah, that's vital. The location, I think, is fantastic, because we wasn't best pleased with previous stadium locations or the lead stadium locations, but this one, I think they've got it absolutely spot on. Like, particularly with all those big new ships who are coming in up the Mersey, all you know, and the first thing they're going to see on the way in is Bramley Moor Dock.
Bramley Moor Dock.
The last thing they're going to see on the way out
Is Bramley Moor Dock.
Yeah. And I think that could give us, as foolish as some people may think this may sound, but I think that could give us more global exposure, because you're going to have people of different nationalities from different countries coming into the city. And if we can make that stadium a place where people want to go, even if it's just to go and visit for the day or do a stadium tour, then that will raise Everton's profile, I think.
100%.
And that's what we've got to look for. As well as the team on the field, we've got to attract people to the club.
Yeah.
Getting things right off the field as well as on it.
Fantastic. I agree with you on that one. This might be a tough question, Vaughanie, so brace yourself a little. What's it like for you being a Blue and seeing the Reds dominate after you've witnessed where you were at the top?
It's horrible. I hate it, if I'm being completely honest. But again, as I said to you before, I think I touched on it, I'm used to it now. Yeah. I'm used to it. I'm more concerned about what Everton are doing or not doing than I am concerned about them. What they are, what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? I'm a football man as well as an Everton fan, so I couldn't say or couldn't not acknowledge their achievements.
Yeah.
And fair play to them. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I would never, you know, they've done what they've done over the years. Great. You know, well done to them. Not great as an Evertonian. And I honestly do think, and again, this might cause a little bit of controversy with Evertonians, I think instead of us being in their shadow or accepting being in their shadow, we need to look to them and learn from them.
Oh, I think that's a smart outlook, where the teams that are more successful than yourself, you have to. I think you could look at all the clubs who have been more successful and say, what have they done? You're taking little bits from them and build your own, don't you? You know, you've got to. Yeah. It will be the Everton way, but don't ever feel that the club can't take good bits from opposition. That's for sure.
Yeah, but the thing you just touched on there, Kev, you used the phrase the Everton way.
Yeah.
Back when we were successful, the Everton way was to lead from the front.
Yeah.
Lead from the front. When we first, you know, back in the 60s, we had a chairman who just would not accept anything other than winning.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And obviously we were emerging millionaires, and all right, I accept football finances and investments and revenues will change, but your attitude should never change.
That's right. I agree.
And I think, and we'll touch on it a bit later, I think that's where we suffer. I think that's our biggest problem, is we are acceptant of being invited to the party, but we don't want to sit at the top table, or we're happy not to sit at the top table. Yeah. We're happy to be not just a bridesmaid or
you're happy just with the invitation.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? They're happy with the invitation just to be, yeah, okay, well, we're here, but we're sitting on the worst table by the kitchen. Yeah. Type of scenario. Yeah. And I think that's something that has hindered us for many, many, many years, since the certainly early noughties. But it's horrible when they are winning stuff and we're struggling, or not even struggling. But it always appears to be, even recently, if we are fourth or fifth, they're still doing well. Yeah. And then they drop off for like 2 or 3 games, and we just can never capitalize on it. Yeah. That's the worst part. Do you know what I mean? That's the worst part.
So what I want to say is, what's the banter like with you and your friends, both Blues and Reds? Because 21, 22 years ago, I got the winner at Anfield And now last season, obviously, Richarlison and Siggy scored to win at Anfield. It's too big a gap, but I'm sure the banter must be, it must be brilliant.
Personally, the banter I have, where I socialise mostly is a local, like an ex-working man's club. It's now a club that's open to the public. Yeah. So a lot of the banter that goes on with the locals is all good fun and good natured.
Yeah,
a lot of it is. But you do get a lot of toxicity from non-regular punters. Do you know what I mean? And I just ignore that. Have the crack with the lads.
Yeah.
Who, you know, reds and blues. There's not as many reds go in there now as there used to be.
Right.
So we've basically christened it now. It's a blue club. There's no 50-50. It's not there was a lot of reds that used to go in there.
Yeah.
Particularly on a match day, but we would say, well, that's because you're all watching it on the telly.
Yeah.
And we all go to match. So that'll account for the numbers.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But no, in general, in my social circles, it's not too bad, to be fair. But brilliant. I do see and hear things that I think a little bit unsavoury, and there's not much need for, or you know, it's not called for. But I do think generally, from things I've witnessed, I think the days of the friendly derby well and truly gone. Well and truly gone, mate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, listen,
which is sad.
It is sad, and that was the unique part about it. But you know, I suppose things have to get a little bit more serious. So, okay, let's look at the emergence of Everton. If you could sign anyone in the world, Neil,
yeah,
who would it be?
Well, it depends.
No, it don't depend. One player.
One player. Current, past or present?
Whatever, your choice.
To assist this team, right? The team we've got now,
yeah.
The person I would sign to assist the team we've got right now in his prime, Andrei Kanchelskis. Because when he played for us, it was only for 1.5 seasons, and I'd seen great teams and I'd seen great individual players, but he was a step above great players he played with. Right. He was the difference for us.
Right.
And I think he could be the same. And it's no disrespect to the lads who play out wide now.
Of course.
But I think basically my memories of Andre were, give him the ball, he will score 9 times out of 10. And that's what we've lacked.
Yeah.
For many. I know Andros is doing a great job for us, but he can do a number of jobs.
Yeah.
Andrei Kanchelskis did one job, and that was get the ball, beat me man, put it in the net. Job done.
Yeah.
And that's why.
Great job. That's the great job.
And I remember once Kev seen him at Sheffield Wednesday away. We beat them 5-2 away. And it's the first and only time I have ever seen an opposition player get a standing ovation from the home crowd when he was taken off
at Hillsborough,
at Hillsborough. And he was just absolutely, to me, match winner.
Yeah.
And we've had them in the past, you know, but I'm talking about for this team.
Yeah.
He, for me, would be the one I would
He'd be a difference maker. That's a good shout. That's a good shout. Okay. So what do you think of the current Rafa Benitez Everton? Because I know there's a lot of Blues who are still not having it, and the regime. But what's your thoughts on Rafa Benitez Everton?
I'll be honest with you. When he first came, I thought maybe it's not the greatest of appointments, you know, bearing in mind the feeling of a lot of the supporters at the time.
Yeah.
But personally, I was quite happy with it.
Yeah.
Because of the people that were being touted, I thought he's the one I would choose for me personally.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, and a lot of people laugh, scoff at me now when I say this, but it's true. Before Ancelotti became available, I was saying, get Rafa Benitez.
Championing Benitez, right?
Yeah, I said, get Rafa Benitez in.
Yeah.
And I'd have Benitez all there. And I think at that time, there wasn't as much ill feeling, or, you know, if he'd have been appointed at that time, I think it would have been accepted more than it was after Ancelotti had gone.
Yeah.
But I think there was a lot of resentments in that whole what had gone on
situation. Yeah.
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 And I think this team of Benitez is better than Ancelotti's, just because he's fine-tuned it.
Yeah.
They look fitter, they work harder, and they're playing faster.
Yeah.
You know, and
can I just say this as well? And the team have got something about them. They come back from being down.
Bit of character, yeah.
They've got character. They've got some balls about them.
Yeah, yeah. And let's not forget, he's working with the majority of the same players.
Yes.
He brought it, all right, he brought in a keeper, but Begovic is never going to be the number one. So he's going to be there as cover. We all know that. He's brought in Andros Townsend, and he's brought in Vaughanie Gray.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, I don't know if you're aware of it. You probably were, because you know a lot of Evertonians. There was a bit of
there was people moaning. Not a bit of. There was people moaning, Vaughanie.
And they've been outstanding for us. Outstanding for us. Not just because of their ability, and just by their attitude.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
I think they're happy to be at Everton.
Yeah. And like, I've seen a few quotes from both players recently expressing that how happy and that they feel they've got something to prove.
Yeah.
Because they were obviously aware of the doubters.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think there's many doubters now.
Oh no, I don't think there's any now.
And I think, like, I hear rumblings about Rondon.
Yeah.
You know, just a little bit of unrest and whatever. But my point of view is the fella is he's completely obvious he's unfit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to take him a little while to get fit. He's been thrown in at the deep end because our two main strikers, unfortunately, have been injured.
Yeah.
So he's got no choice. You know, if you know a little bit about the game, I'm not being respectful to anybody who's not been at the higher levels of the game.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter what you say as a fan. You're not going to throw a 17 or 18-year-old kid in straight in.
No, you'll destroy him.
My experience of it is you will phase him in.
Yeah. And
it's easier to phase a young player in a good side than it is in one that's struggling.
Very much so.
Do you know what I mean? And I can fully understand why the likes of Ellis Sims hasn't been thrown straight in. Why aren't they putting him in? Why aren't they giving him a chance? Because he's a young lad. And you know, you will know as much as anybody, more than I will. But you go in as a young lad playing against top class international centre halves, they'll eat you for breakfast.
Yeah. Unless
you're really, really exceptional.
Yeah.
Wayne was exceptional.
Oh, without a shadow.
Wayne was a one-off, if you like.
Yeah.
You know, somebody was mentioning him the other day when we were at the game, and I said, well, what you've got to understand is Wayne is a once-in-a-lifetime player for us.
Yeah, generational talent.
Yeah, we're not going to get another one of him. Well, I certainly don't think I'll see another one. We'll be very lucky if we do. And he could, at 16, he was a man, if you like, in his physique, his maturity as a player, first and foremost. So that's why he was able to succeed.
Of course.
Some of these young lads now, the majority of them, I suggest, have not got that. Well, they certainly haven't got his ability.
Yeah.
You know, and if you go out on the field, if you go out on the field like Wayne used to and believe at 16 years of age, I am the best player on this pitch, then you've got a head start, haven't you?
Yeah.
you've got a head start. I mean,
Without
I
a
know
shadow of
you were on the pitch the day you scored that goal, and that was just like normal players don't score that.
I mean,
And if
England goalkeeper in the goal, in net, against that
Yeah.
Arsenal team as well.
Yeah.
You know,
And if you remember
incredible.
back, mate, that goal was outstanding. But I remember 2 or 3 minutes later, he would have scored a better one where he did the chip from the touchline and it hit the top of the bar.
Yeah.
You can't teach people that.
The talent level was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Vaughanie.
So going back to the original question, I think this Benitez team is better than Ancelotti's team for the reason fitness and desire and character.
Yeah.
And I think they've got a little bit more belief in themselves now.
Yeah.
Than they had.
You know what, Vaughanie? I let me put this to you then. I truly believe Everton were one of those sides, and I think Liverpool as well, but I don't really want to speak about them, from not having the 12th man in the ground last season.
Very much so, mate. I mean,
Everton suffered.
Yeah. I think Everton, I know I'm biased, but I think Everton's support is phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's
well,
many
I know it is.
Well, of course, yeah.
I know it is. Yeah.
Many a team would not have the support that we still generate if they were in the position we were in and hadn't won anything or been challenging for anything as long as we've not been.
Yeah.
And the away support in particular is
incredible.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And yes, you will suffer because of that. And it's proven, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Last season, did we lose 9 home games or something?
It was crazy. It was crazy.
This year at home, full crowd, played 3-1-3, and twice they've come from behind, I think. Have they not? That would never have happened last year, I don't think.
True, I agree. I agree with that.
So I 100% agree with you there, yeah. We, the crowd, do play a major part, but that's what I think a lot of people have got to understand is when you're giving people stick, that will transmit onto the pitch just as much as the cheers do.
Yeah.
So get behind them, give them 100%, finish the game and go to the pub and call them all you want.
Yeah.
But whilst you're in the ground, whichever ground you're in for 90 minutes,
support, yeah.
Doesn't matter who's in the shirt. As long as they're playing for the shirt, that's all that counts.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Vaughanie. Look, this has gone so fast. We're at number 10 already.
Oh, really?
Yeah, can you believe it? We're at number 10, right? So we might have to do this again. We might have to do this again. So,
nice. More than happy to be. I'd love to.
Right. So number 10 is, if there's 3 things you could change to improve Everton, what would it be? And that is across the board. It could be playing staff, it could be ground, it could be the beer, it could be anything. What would you, if there's 3 things, what would you change?
As a football person, and this is just to the football side, not to the commercial side of the club, not to what goes on in the concourses before the game. For me, it's all about football.
Right.
And I've got one word, and I'm going to use it 3 times.
Go on.
Mentality, mentality, mentality. Mentality at the top of the club, mentality on the field, and mentality in the crowd. And I'll quantify by saying, my personal opinion is, I think since the end of your days, when you come to the end of your time at Everton, from that time right up until now, for whatever reason, certain people within the club have enabled an attitude where winning is not everything, where finishing 6th is good, where getting into the cup quarter-final is good, and it's acceptable. We've had a good season. Now, not only a fan, I've played the game, I've coached the game, right, at various levels. Winning, you're judged on what you win. You are judged as a successful football club on what you win. And obviously this is just my opinion. And we have in my opinion, I'd say, enabled, or certain people enabled and convinced, and I'm talking, this is where I'm going to the players and on the terraces, they're convinced, yeah, well, that's good. If we finish 7th, it's good. It's not for me, it isn't. I would much rather finish 11th, say, and win a trophy, win a cup, win the Carabao Cup.
Silverware, yeah, silverware.
And I think that attitude that filters down where, yeah, okay, and I touched on it before about being happy to be invited to the party, but not being star of the show, if you like, or one of the stars of the show. I think we've just accepted that. You know, I think we've really just accepted that for far, far, far too long. And if we can change it to get us back to being winning, if we can get back to nil satis and this is the optimum, that will filter down to the team, and then it'll filter down to the fans, because there's loads of fans that I know will just go, yeah, okay, well, no, we've had a great season. Let's aim for 6th. No. One of the good things I remember that Ancelotti did say when he took over, he was asked about where did he expect Everton to finish in the league, or where would he be aiming to finish at the start of last season. And he said, well, I will be aiming to finish top. Whether we do or not is a different matter.
Remains to be seen, yeah.
But I will
mentality.
Be aiming, and that's something I hadn't heard or seen from anybody for many, many years. Yeah. And I think once that change, we can change that to get us back to being, well, we want to be at the top. We want to be competing, because I'm not one for this view that we have to have superstar players to challenge at the top. No. If we've got 11 players who are willing to bust a gut, run through
work and graft,
work for each other,
we
have got enough talent in the squad. Even now, okay, it's all within the first 11, granted, but maybe 1 or 2 he's just brought in, you know. The talent is there. If they put it together, couple it with effort, passion, desire, character, then we will be up there or thereabouts. We're up there, thereabouts now. Yeah. Because that's exactly what they've done. But it's been missing for far too long for me, and I think that's what they need to get back. And that's why I said mentality. Well,
do you know what? Neil Vaughanie to his pals. It's been brilliant. I've got to say,
loved it, mate.
You've taken me along the journey from 18 months old going to Goodison Park with your granddad, right up until question 10, and I'm wanting more. So what I'm going to do...
Can I just, before we finish, I just want to take you back to one of the questions earlier on, which we had to move on. I didn't get a chance to say everything I wanted to say. Going back to my favourite players, Everton players, I touched on the ones from the 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s. Yeah. We had a lot of great players, Reedy, Brett. My favourite was Trevor Stephen. Yeah. I thought Trevor was just unreal. Silky. He was 5'7", 5'8". He made everything look easy. Yeah. Could go past people, could put his foot in, could head, he could do everything.
Effortless, all-rounder. Yeah.
And finally, my one from the 90s, and I don't want you blushing now, my second all-time favourite Everton player is yourself.
Really?
Really, it's yourself, because and everyone who knows me knows this. They know, because I hear other players from your era, they get bigged up, and I don't think they deserve anywhere near the credit and adulation that you should get, because you do get a lot. You do get a lot of adulation, mate. I'm not saying you don't. You get, you are held in very, very high esteem by Evertonians. But me personally, there's Trevor. And there's not Trevor then you, it's you and Trevor, because I honestly believe, from what I saw during your time at Everton, specifically the early days, the early years, we might be in the 3rd division if it wasn't for you, mate. And I honestly mean that. I honestly mean that from the heart.
Vaughanie, I appreciate that. I'm shocked. I'm surprised, but you know, I'm humbled by you saying that, because you've mentioned some great people, great players. Everton Football Club is a big, great club.
Yeah.
And I want to see Everton do so well as well, just like you do. I've got such a great love for the club. And
it's quite obvious, mate, you know what I mean? But
yeah, I've got such a love
as
for
I
the
say,
club.
and don't be cutting that last bit out at the end, what I've said about you being my favourite.
No, I won't. I promise.
I know you're a very humble guy, and you're a great bloke. But I just needed to tell you that, because to me, you are a proper Everton legend.
Thank you very much, Vaughanie. And
you're welcome, mate.
And on that note, everybody, this is Who Are You, Neil Vaughan, Vaughanie. I'll see you next time, and thank you very much. Bye.
Okie dokie. Cheers, mate.